Welcome to the LDS Mental Health Podcast. This is a podcast for faithful women who want healing in their relationships, guidance from God, and internal peace. Each week, you'll hear mental health concepts taught through a spiritual lens from me, a licensed clinical mental health counselor, to help you start thinking in a higher and holier way. Welcome to another Ask a Therapist episode. We are talking about receiving revelation.
We're going to kick off this episode again with another fun fact about Nikki Olson, because I've got a lot of them.
I love calling Nikki Olson because you always still call me Nikki McDonald.
I almost just said Nikki McDonald. I really did. And I stopped myself. Almost said it. Nikki Olson.
That could be a fun fact sometime.
That could be kind of a weird little. No, I'm Julie McDonald. Nikki McDonald.
Yeah.
Anyways. So Nikki's fun fact of today, drum roll please, is that I don't even know which part of this fact to share first. Once upon a time, Nikki had dinner with Bill Engvall.
Oh my goodness, I forgot that.
If you don't know who Bill Engvall is, he's like a comedian, but I think he has some songs too. But he's a comedian and he does the like, here's your sign.
He did a song about the here's your sign.
Yeah. So I feel like you should tell people why you had dinner with Bill Engvall.
Oh, that's a whole story in itself. Yes. We were being on the radio junkies. We wanted to be on the radio so bad. There was a radio station in our town and they were having a contest. And so you had to call in, I think, and say all the crazy things you would do to win these tickets to the Bill Engvall concert. It was like a stand-up show, essentially, that he did. And you got to have dinner with him. We had dinner with him? I don't remember this.
Yeah, like before his like little concert show.
Eat with him? Oh my goodness. Yeah. That's like out of my brain. I do remember we also got a free hotel for us, like 16-year-olds at a hotel, and we got to eat dinner at this nice dinner place. Remember money to eat there?
They gave us a whole bunch of CDs.
Yeah. So we called into the radio station to give them I think we must have gave them 25 ideas, and they're like, we have to let these poor high school children do one of these ideas.
Poor sweet dum-dums.
Yeah, the one they chose was that they wanted us to dress up in sumo suits. Did we know that we could have access to sumo suits when we gave that idea?
I think we did somehow. I don't even know where we got them because they didn't have the blow-up sumo suits like they have nowadays. It was like a fabric sumo suit.
It was stuffed with stuffing and it was heavy. We got it from the bar across the street. There was like a dance bar, like an adult dance bar, and they would do sumo wrestling on certain nights. So I think that's how we knew we could get them, because they had a sign outside that said they would do, and they smelled like beer. They were really stinky. Do you remember that? Like they were so gross.
I did not know we got them from a bar.
We had to call them and ask them if we could come get them, because they picked that idea. They picked that idea that we would run down Main Street. It's called South 6th Street, but it's our main street of our town. And that we would run down that. And it was an intersection where two main intersections. Yeah. And Washburn and South 6th. And that they brought the radio station out there, interviewed us. We have pictures of us running around the intersection in our sumo suits. But we thought we would add an addition to that of a giant green foam head. Okay, you guys got to get on social media this week and see the picture, because
you can't even explain the foam head. There's no purpose or meaning or reason.
No, because we like to buy random things from the Goodwill in Oregon, but it's the guy in Utah. So we would buy random things, and there was a giant green foam head that we bought. So we won dinner with Bill Engvall. I don't even think we really cared about winning what we won. We just wanted to do the contest.
Yeah, we did.
That's how weird we were.
We grew up in a really small town with not much to do, so we made the best of it.
We did. Yeah.
It was super.
Tell me, I want you guys to send me a story, like a contest, a crazy contest that you've entered, or maybe something you've won from a contest that was cool. Also, if you like these random facts, let us know. We'll keep doing them.
Because I have a ton of them.
Sheila's got a whole list. So if you want more of them, you have to let us know. So we will do them.
Today, Nikki's going to answer some questions that have been coming in from her viewers.
Yeah.
Everyone, you guys.
Listeners, viewers, watchers.
All of you guys who have burning questions for Nikki, which I imagine everyone has something they want to ask you. We love seeing the questions that come in, and I love that we have this series now that Nikki can answer some great questions from you guys. So we're just going to jump into it today. The first question, which is interesting, what inspired you to do coaching online?
Yeah. When I was asked this on a Instagram thing, I just wrote the word revelation. That was my answer. Just one word, revelation. So I thought I should probably expand on that when I have more time. It's really hard on Instagram when people ask these questions because it's like either I do a long video and you have 1 minute basically to answer something, and you have to talk really fast or people lose interest and pop forward to the next one. Or like my views go way down when I actually talk on my stories as opposed to typing on my stories because the people get impatient. They want the information quickly. And so, or I got to type a whole thing out, right? And like one finger typing, right? On our phones. So I was like, okay, this is a great one. I want to be able to kind of say it a little bit more when I feel like I told the story when I first kind of started the podcast too, but it was probably like 2017 or 2018 when I really started understanding the process of revelation and really wanting to understand that for myself. President Nelson gave that talk in 2018 about like revelation for the church, revelation for our lives. And that was a really inspiring talk to me. And I feel like it made me like want to and have a desire to know what God's will for me was and not just like live my life as a good person, right? And just follow the commandments, but like actually do what God wants me to do. And so I had been being more intentional about receiving revelation and getting closer to God. And I developed the process of what my Seeking Personal Revelation Journal is today, out of the concepts from that talk that he gave. And so I started receiving more revelation and I felt like God wanted me to do something more. And I didn't know what it looked like. And I was really confused when he wanted me to do like coaching online. It was sort of when it was kind of coming about. I've been doing this almost 6 years now online, and it was a newer thing. And I didn't even, my business is now and what I do now is not what it was when I started 6 years ago. It had absolutely nothing to do with spirituality. And God has really allowed me to be like, grow in a lot, what word I want to say, like, he's very patient with me. And maybe it's that he's revealing, little bits at a time and that's been a blessing. So I don't have to like do everything at once, but, I felt inspired to do something more, and I had a great job. Like I love my job. There was nothing more I was seeking out of that. Like I love my family. They have lots that I want to do. And so it was kind of overwhelming when I was like, you want me to do more? And you want me to do what? And it was really just kind of throwing myself out there of like, okay, well, I'm just going to do these couple things and see where it goes. And I can still see, even though my business is very much different than when I started, there are elements of something from the beginning that I still use now that I'm like, oh, that's why God wanted me to do that then. Yeah, because cool. It really has led me to this point now. I think about all the programs that are in my membership now were developed over time, like of, okay, now I want to develop this program. Now I want to develop this program. And now they all fit perfectly into my membership. Like the amount of time that we spend on each one throughout the year, and we talk about those things. I'm like, man, he really led me along this path to like, okay, now you need to, I remember it was probably 2 or 3 years ago that I had a lot of people that are like, do you ever teach meditation or do you do meditations? And I was like, no, not really. And I was like, I've been asked that question a lot. I should learn how to do that. And I just took a course on like doing meditations and then created a whole meditation course. And it's really guided that process. And so I think everything along the way has been through revelation that he's led me through.
Yeah, that's so cool. I attest to that too. I see Nikki working, and yeah, I do feel like everything absolutely that you do has been led and directed, which is it says a lot for you too. I think that you're doing what you're called to do here. So.
And I wouldn't say that like I follow it all the time. That's why it takes me so long. I wouldn't say that I'm perfect at it. I am very rebellious and resistant to revelation when it comes sometimes, especially if it's like asking me to do more or stop doing something and take a different direction. Because I'm very much somebody like, I put a lot of time and effort into that. And you want me to do what? Like, and do this. And so it does, even though I follow revelation, I'm not claiming to follow it right away. So I'm not saying I'm perfect at it and I'm like doing all these things and everything's wonderful. And a lot of times when I receive really good revelation, it's because something has failed. It's because something hasn't worked. And I'm coming in like, why isn't this working? What do you need me to do? How am I doing this? And all of those things that have quote unquote failed or haven't worked out have caused me to seek that revelation and take a pivot. And so I think things just come and then there becomes a block. And then I recognize that as it's time to receive the revelation to where he wants me to go next.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is super cool. Because I remember you starting this. And when you started it a long time ago, I remember thinking that, like, she has a full-time job. She has little kids. And her husband's gone all the time in the state presidency.
Yeah.
And, like, there was a lot going on. And I was like, that's... Because it's a lot of work that you... I mean, even just putting the podcast together, it's a lot of behind-the-scenes work. And
I resisted the podcast for a long time. Long time. I felt like I needed to do a podcast for a long time. I was like, nope, that's too much time. Nope, I don't want to do that. I didn't want to do that. Until he revealed to me how it would make my life easier.
Yeah.
And when I had that revelation come, I was like, okay, I'll do it. I was like, fine,
awesome.
I will do that, because that's what helped me, allowed me to hire my first person for the company, because I was able to say, okay, I can put together this content. And I was like, I'm committing to 10 minutes. That's all I'm committing to.
Yeah.
I commit to 10 minutes once a week that I will record an episode, and it creates my content for the week, which allowed another person to come in and help me with that, to put something together, because I could put my ideas and what I want to talk about, which led to your job, essentially, is that someone could come along and upload all these things and create the content around it and do the work. And I can just come up with, be the creator of it. And then someone else behind the scenes can come take care of that process for me. Yeah. And God knew that. Was like, I need you to do bigger things. And so you need help. And he helped me see how this could bring people in to help me with this.
Yeah. I can still accomplish it, but not spend 10 hours a day doing it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I've always been so impressed with that, because when I asked you, I was like, what's going on here? You're doing a podcast, like, what's happening? Yeah. And that is the first thing you said. You're like, it was revelation. I'm supposed to be doing this. And so I just always thought that was very cool.
Yeah. So resistance.
Yeah.
There's your lesson. Resist revelation as long as you can. That's my motto in life.
Oh, Nikki. All right, next question. This is a great one too. I love all these questions. How do you know if you're doing God's will? I feel like that's such a good one, because it's hard. It's easy to doubt yourself and not know.
Yeah. This is a concept that I put in my revelation journal for me, because as we just found out, I'm resistant to revelation. So I always develop things that are like help me grow. Like most everything that I do is because I've used it myself and it works in some way, or I've developed this for me and now I want to share it for other people. But one of the things that I noticed that I was doing was I'm a goal setter. I'm like, what are we doing? I'm a planner. I want to do this. And I recognized that I wanted God to be involved in the planning of my goals, right? And doing his will is not just like a long-term thing. It's a short-term, like in this moment, in this day, in this year, in this lifetime, like what does that look like to align your will with God? And I feel like there's 3 concepts that I do that help me align that. One is just ask him. Just ask him what it is, right? Like, what is it? Ask and, oh my gosh, why can't I think of that scripture?
Ask and you shall receive.
Yes, yep, something around that realm, yeah. Yeah. Knock and it shall be opened, that one, yeah. Like, the concept of revelation is not to interfere with our agency and tell us something or force us to do something, but we have to first ask in order for that to be open. So I think asking God, and not just like, I think sometimes we think, okay, well, I just got to say a prayer, like, what's your will for me? And I feel like it needs to be more specific than that. Like, here is this thing. This is what I'm thinking. Is this where you want me to go? Right? That doing our own research in that process.
Yeah. Well, just like what you said yesterday about but instead, like, come to him with a plan instead of just coming to him with a problem.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That you want to be, that was when you're talking about that. And I was like, when did I say that? What were we talking about? We were planning prom with my daughter yesterday, and she was so stressed out. And I was like, Julie and I, we were helping her plan, and we are like, oh shoot, what do we do with this? And what did I say? I was like, we can't come to her with problems. We only can come to her with solutions, because she was so stressed out. So I was like, we have to think of like 2 solutions and just give her those 2 options, and she can pick one, and it will help her with that. And so that's the same concept, right? Yeah. It's like, we need to think this through, think about all the possible solutions and what are the possible directions we want to go. God is very much wants us to be who we are. He knows our talents, our strengths, our abilities, and he wants to help us in that. I think sometimes we think God's will is going to take us away from what we want to do. And it's not really. Like, he knows us. And so what are your desires, And I think that the next concept with that is we're talking about is acting on that, right? Acting on this revelation. If we want better revelation, we need better information. We need to gain more information, and then the revelation can come with that. So if we want to know God's will, we need to start acting on things, and God will tell us this is the wrong path or this is the right path. Yeah. That's how we receive that. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing is, are we listening? Are we even listening to know what God's will is? If we have our own mind set to something and we think this is how it has to be, is that really listening? Or is it us telling God what we think it should happen and then hoping he'll confirm that for us? Yeah, but are we really open? Are we saying, like, this is my desire, this is my wish, but thy will be done, right? Ultimately, what the Savior did in the Garden of Gethsemane when he said, can you take away this cup from me? But ultimately, thy will be done, right? Like, this is my desire, this is my wish, but what do you want from me? Yeah.
Yeah. Which is, so important and perfect. Yeah. Something I'm continually learning, that you definitely have to come with a plan instead of a problem. You can, or just an open-ended question, like, what do I do about this?
Yeah.
And just not have a plan at all. So.
Or asking, can you point me in the direction of somebody who will tell me some information, right? Like, if you have a problem, ask God, who is it? I can't remember now if it was Uchtdorf or Bednar. I get them mixed up sometimes in their quotes because they have awesome quotes. But one of them said, like, don't be a person that asks God to change your circumstances for you, but be a person who comes to God and asks God to help you change your own circumstances. So in your prayers, thinking about, like, instead of saying, can you take this trial away from me? Can you teach me something that I can take this trial away from me? Or can you help me take this trial away from me?
Yes, absolutely. That's such a great way to, think about it. Help me get rid of it. Instead of just saying, get rid of the problem.
Mm-hmm. You go do the work, God. Help me do the work. Let's do it together. Yeah. That's ultimately the definition of yoking with the Savior. It's like, let's do this together versus you go do that over there. I'll go do this over here. We'll reconvene together, right? It's like, and you take more of the work, right?
Heavy lifting.
Yeah. We don't learn that way. We learn by working with the Savior, not having him do his work over there. We do our work over here.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. Awesome. I love that. Alrighty. Let's see. Are we on question number 4 already?
3.
Yeah.
We kind of jumped into that.
I was going to say, I feel like we kind of touched that.
Yeah.
So number 3 was, how can I let go of control and trust that God has a plan in store for me and that he has my best intentions at heart?
Yeah, kind of building on that too, is that trust is built by spending time with someone, right? Like, do you trust somebody that you drive by on the freeway? Well, probably not, right? I mean, well, you do because you're hoping they don't hit you. But like, if you were you going to trust them with big things in your life, you don't know them, right? You don't know strangers, and you have a certain level of trust in general that humans are going to treat you kindly. But do you really trust somebody that you don't know? So first of all, building trust with God, that God has your best interest at heart and that he has something good in store for you, is spend time with him. Spend time with God in the temple, spend time with God in prayer, spend time with God in your scriptures, and that builds trust. And then you do that. But also part of that is learning the true nature of God. Like, I don't believe in a God that is here to punish me and that is here to tell me that shoot, I say lasers, lightning, shooting lasers down from the sky. That would be terrifying. But he does shoot lightning. But I don't believe in a God that's just like, just strike me by lightning, you know, because I'm doing something wrong, and that he's up there being vindictive if I don't do something he doesn't want me to do. Like, I think of him as the type of parent that I am. You know, I might be stern, I might have consequences, but ultimately it's because I love and want my children to grow up and be successful and good human beings, right? And be safe. And so learning the true nature of God and like what he has in store for me helps me know that even when things are difficult and he's allowing me to go through them is because he loves me, and understanding that nature and part of that. And also, I think a very important piece of that is understanding the role that opposition plays in our time on this earth. That I see so many women who try to build a life that doesn't have problems. They work to try to work their way out of problems, and they feel defeated, and that builds a distance between us and God, because you start thinking like, I've worked so hard, why do problems keep coming? And if you really study the plan of salvation, it's supposed to work that way, right? It's supposed to be that we're here to have some opposing force internally and externally. And because other people have agency, that's what helps us grow, right? Like, we can't grow our biceps by lifting the air because there's nothing opposing that, right? Your muscles grow because there's an opposing force that you put on it and it grows. We can't grow and become something if we don't have an opposing force internally and externally that helps us grow and become. And so if we look at opposition as God is punishing me, we miss the whole point of the plan of salvation. Yeah, and exactly. you think that that's the nature of God then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's perfect. Perfect. All right, I'm excited to see Nikki's response on this next question. Can you talk about dreams?
Yes. This is a question I've gotten from a couple of people, but also sometimes in therapy, people will come in and just say like, oh, I've had this dream. Can we talk about this? Or what is your perspective on dreams? And I don't have anything like super profound with it. There's obviously different theories. There's people out there that will say like, if you dream about this thing, it means this. Yeah. But I'm going to answer this from the spiritual perspective and also from a psychological perspective. So the psychological perspective, and what I teach people if they come in and say, you know, I dreamed about this, what does this mean? Is really like, I think a good analogy of this is that scene in Inside Out when it's the dream scene and they're back there like cleaning, right? There's all the dream people are back there cleaning up everything that happened in the day. That's sort of what dreams are, is like they're cleaning up what you thought about or didn't process during the day, but they pull in things that are like totally random. Like they're picking up these props that like had nothing to do with the actual scene and they're using it in that, and you're like, what, why is there a cat in here? That was not related to that. But those props essentially that are picked up and brought into those scenes in your dreams have emotional meaning to you, right? So if let's say, for example, I'm dreaming about dogs, my emotional reaction to dogs is not a happy one. It's not like
one day.
It's not like I love dogs, they're so cuddly. It's like fear and anger and disgust. Those are the emotions that come up for me. And so if I'm dreaming about dogs, it's about what emotion is attached to that thing. So that's the emotion that I didn't process that day. And my mind and body are trying to process it through something associated with that emotion.
Oh, that's interesting.
So if you dream about something, ask yourself, what does that thing mean to me? If I'm dreaming about rainbows, what does rainbows have that emotional attachment to me? Yeah. And what emotion am I trying to process with that?
That's interesting.
Or even a situation. It doesn't have to be a thing. It can be like, why what, for example, I have this often dream that we're in high school and I cannot remember my locker combination. Do you remember we used to share a locker?
Yes, we did.
And like I'm walking up to my locker and I cannot remember for the life of me the combination. And so like that concept in general is like forgetfulness. Like I'm gonna forget something important. And so for me, I would ask myself, what am I in my life? Am I not processing that I think I'm going to forget or that I'm not going to remember? Like I'm struggling with something that I think I'm going to forget, that I'm going to really need. Maybe I'm about to give a presentation and I think I'm going to forget a big part of that presentation. That could represent that part of that in my life.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
Yeah.
So,
I didn't,
so
I never put that together. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
What is the emotional thing that's happening in that dream that you're needing to process?
Yeah.
And then you can like realize that that's happening in your...
That's fascinating. Interesting.
Yeah.
This is a great mix because I'm completely uneducated and you know so many things. I feel like I need to take notes during this so that I can remember and process more later. But
We recorded this so you can go back and
yes,
listen to
this
it.
is why we're doing these podcasts, so we can listen over and over.
And you'll remember when you're putting this one together and you're putting the
Yes.
content together for it. So the other side of dreams, so that's the psychological thing that I would talk to somebody. But also dreams are an important piece of revelation, right? Like it can be a spiritual gift that we have. I have someone that I know that's her spiritual gift. And like, she's come to me and said, I had a dream about you, Nikki. And this is what I had. And this is what it means, you know, and I love talking to her about her dreams. It's so cool. It's so cool. Like she, that's her literal spiritual gift. And I love that she shared that with me. I love that she's like opened up. She'll keep it pretty quiet because she doesn't, sometimes people are kind of put off by it or she's had some negative experiences with it, sharing those things. But I think it's so cool that that's her spiritual gift. Like,
wish that was my spiritual gift.
like she can put things together and she'll be like, usually when there's like, so I'm trying to remember how she put it together. It was like, she had a dream about me and I was at like a soccer stadium and I was giving this speech or something like that. And she's like, that's what this means. And I'm trying to remember what she said it meant, but was like, it means that you are going to have an important message for the world to share. And I was trying to remember, like,
And look at
I think it was when I was starting the podcast. I think that was around the time
Really?
she shared it with me or something like that. And she was like, I think maybe I was speaking to someone really important. And she was like, that's someone important was in the audience or something like that. And she's like, that's what it means. You have an important message. And
Stop it.
yeah, you're supposed to go do that. I was like, that's pretty cool. I want that gift.
Can I
want
meet
that.
this girl? That is so
Yeah,
cool.
like, go meet her so she can have a dream about you.
Well, the fact that she has a dream and then like understands the meaning and like
Yes.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And so I
Wow.
think that's a revelatory experience, right? Like she's learned how to interpret her dreams through revelation, right? She's not interpreting the way I kind of just explained psychologically, but for her, she has a revelatory experience. And I remember listening to a talk that Wendy Nelson, President Nelson's wife, was giving about President Nelson, that when he has a dream, he has a notebook next to his nightstand so that he can write them down because they're revelation.
Yeah.
And so I often think kind of combining both of what I just said is like, if you're having a dream, it's important to write it down no matter what, because either God's bringing that to you as revelation of this is something you need to process, or this is a piece of revelation that you need in your life.
Yeah. That's super cool.
Yeah.
I love that stuff.
Yeah.
I am fascinated by it. Like, I just think it's so cool.
Yeah. I love listening to like past prophets and dreams they've had and
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
Like those are really cool.
So cool. So cool. Also, I'm envious, but so cool. Maybe that's why I like it so much. 'Cause,
Yes.
yeah, I just want that. I want to learn more about it.
It's kind of like how you want to see a ghost and I'm like, I don't ever want to see a
I want
ghost.
to see a ghost. I want to see a spirit.
Yes, you should call it that.
There's a difference. Ghosts sound scary.
Yes.
Spirits sound wonderful.
I know, and that terrifies me.
Oh, see, I want it so
Terrifies
bad,
me.
it will never happen.
Yeah.
Because I want it so bad.
And it
they're all gonna
terrifies me.
visit you.
Yes, because it terrifies me.
I just need like my great-great-grandma to come down and be like, hey, Julie, what's up?
Yeah.
But she
No.
has no reason to come down and say what's up. So
Yeah.
maybe that's why she's busy.
She's busy doing
busy
other
doing
things.
other stuff. So I'll forgive it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
super cool though. All right, last question of the episode. How can you feel calm and peace, especially if you haven't felt the Spirit in a really long time?
Yeah.
What can you do?
I really loved a talk. So October conference that this past year, 2024, Elder Hurst, Hirst. I always thought that was weird. Interesting way to spell that. But I want to read this quote because like when he said it, I was like, thank you. That's kind of like putting conceptually together what I've been wanting to say, but I've never had like a conference talk that I could go to. So I want to read you guys this quote and then I'll kind of talk about it. But he said, so if God's love does not leave us, why don't we always feel it? Just to manage your expectations, I don't know, but being loved is definitely not the same as feeling loved. And I have a few thoughts that might help you as you pursue your answer to that question. Perhaps you're wrestling with grief, depression, betrayal, loneliness, disappointment, or other powerful intrusions into your ability to feel God's love for you. If so, these things can dull or suspend our ability to feel as we might otherwise feel. For a season at least, perhaps you will not be able to feel his love, and knowledge will have to suffice. I love that concept of like the difference between feeling and knowing that you're loved, right?
Yeah.
Of course, mental health issues block our ability sometimes to feel things, but we can rely upon our knowledge that God does still love us. And I think looking for those ways to find how God loves you. I'm not always a person. I remember when I joined the church, like I never had this like feeling that the church was true. I had a knowledge that the church was true because I'm a logical person. That's how my brain works.
Yeah.
It's like, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay.
Which is why Nikki had how many discussions?
I know.
I mean, this is back when they had like a set amount.
6 discussions or questions. Yeah.
We could talk
I
about
had like
that.
20.
It was amazing. Yeah, she had like 20 discussions. It was awesome though. Because
Yeah.
you came, I remember, with like pages just
still
front and
have
back.
those pages.
Well, do you?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Just so many questions, which I love.
Yeah. Julie's the one that introduced me to the church, if you guys don't know. Yep. We hung out. I wasn't a member. We hung out all the time and she introduced me. I knew where to go for questions.
It's true.
Yeah. So, what was I saying? We're
I really
back to
derailed us.
logical.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So, we can rely on the logic of it, right? We can rely on the knowledge and getting to know if we don't, the Spirit doesn't always reveal things to us through feeling. And I think a lot of times we think that if I don't feel something, it must not be true, right? But we can receive revelation in lots of different ways. It can be a thought that's brought to our mind. It can be a remembrance that's brought to our mind. I love that God has provided that to us. It's not just, our testimonies aren't built just on feelings. And I think can get really derailed sometimes when our feelings can be misconstrued by the natural man, by our fallen bodies that we have that have illnesses and ailments that interfere with feeling. And that is not the only way to know that God loves you. It can be in the scriptures, reading about God loving you. You can be writing down all the ways that God has showed up for you in your life and recognizing. That's one of the things that I love to do, in my prayers is like, how has God showed up for me in the last 24 hours? What good things have happened in my life? And I try to attribute all of them to God because they weren't just coincidence or luck. Yeah. Like he made them happen for me. And so falling back on, I don't even like to call it falling back on, but developing the skill of looking for and receiving revelation in different ways than feeling, because you will really expand your ability. I think that's why President Nelson tells us we need to stretch our current spiritual ability to receive revelation. Mm-hmm. Can't be just on feeling, or you're going to get derailed. You're going to have this detour on your testimony, because if you think that things only come to us through a feeling, you're going to have lots of things in your life that interfere with that feeling ability.
For sure. Yeah. It kind of makes me think of, I don't know if you've heard the talk that the Elder Bredenar has a series. I don't know if it's just called Light or something.
Yes.
Like Light.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. And I love that
he has a book on it now.
Oh, does he? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's called The Spirit of Revelation. I have it
It's
over
on your
there.
shelf.
It's one of my favorite books. Oh, it's right there behind there because I just showed it to my class. Yeah, because I love it. He put it all in a book. Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to read it. I love it. Mm-hmm. But I love that he says in there that, I think he's talking about promptings in particular, but he said if anything comes to you that's good, it's from God. It doesn't,
mm-hmm.
like, to me, I'm like, it doesn't have to be like what you said, this big revelation.
Mm-hmm.
If it's good, it's from God.
Mm-hmm.
So
act on it. Yeah. So develop that. Like I think that's a really big hindrance in our life if we say, I don't feel God's love, therefore, and make a conclusion out of there. Therefore, he must not love me, right?
Exactly.
And we have to develop those other abilities.
Yeah.
With that.
Definitely. Perfect. Well,
Awesome.
thank you.
Yeah.
Those are awesome questions.
Yeah.
And again, if you want to ask Nikki a question, feel free to check out the show notes, and there is a link where you can ask an anonymous question. You don't have to give any information. You can DM Nikki. You can contact her anyway on our website. But yeah, I love these questions that people have.
Me too.
They're
Keep them
wonderful.
coming.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you next week. Thank you for listening to the LDS Mental Health Podcast. I hope you were able to find ways of healing, guidance, and peace. If you liked this episode, please share it with a friend who would love to start thinking in a higher and holier way as well. Or hit that follow button so you don't miss out on any episodes. Also, check out the links in my show notes for other episodes you might like, and links for other mental health resources on my website.